Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
We were sent over codes for Raiden IV Mikado Remix, which is a re-release of a mid-2000s arcade game of the shoot 'em up variety. So
Yes.
this is kind of one of those weird niche genres that I feel like I dabble in occasionally.
Yeah.
But I don't play them correctly and I am not good at them. But I feel like you're a little bit more into them.
Oh yeah, no, I really like shoot 'em ups, or they're shortened to, if you're a cool kid, shmups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what a shmup is, or like they're also called bullet hells, is basically you may have if you're in your 30s, you may have played one in the arcade. But I don't know if they have shoot 'em ups in the arcades anymore though. But what it is, it's basically like you're a starship or magical girl sometimes, and you're either the bottom of the screen or the side of the screen, and you're just shooting a bunch of ships that are coming towards your character and mostly dodging bullets.
Yeah.
And then the different types of games within that genre, they do kind of cool things with the bullets. So the ones I like are quote unquote magical girl ones, because they have these very cool, elaborate bullet things that you're like trying to dodge through just at the right moment. And they also have sort of this other variety, I guess, just jet fighters, which is this one, where there's not as many bullets on screen, but it's much more, instead of just dodging, you're dodging, but also there's a lot of like, hey, you need to take care of these little guys before you go on this big guy, and they'll try and trap you in interesting, weird ways. So there's a lot more crowd control, I think, with this type. And it's not my favorite as a result. I do like the sort of like weird pattern ones, like of the magical girl variety of the cave shooters. But no, this was really interesting. I enjoyed this game, but boy, it's really funny because I feel like this is kind of the first big release of a shmup I've seen in a while, and it is probably one of the least friendly ones I've actually played.
It is mean. This is a mean game. I will admit, like, I play maybe one or two every year or two.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'll give this a shot. Like, this will be cool. And I literally played the first two stages on normal, got my ass kicked. Played the next two stages on easy, got my ass kicked, and then toned it down to very easy. I didn't. Doug finished this. I didn't finish the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then played it on very easy for a couple more. I was like, that might be my speed. I might be able to do this on very easy.
I remember when I booted it up, I was just kind of sitting on my couch like I would any other game, and I played like level 1, and I just got destroyed immediately. I was like, this is not a casually sitting on the couch one. And I remember like how, because there's actually an arcade I like to go to play these types of games. And when you're playing them in an arcade, the controller's like right in front of you, and you're usually kind of like in a seated thing, and the screen is like a few inches away from your face. So I was like, I have to get in this sort of position because I was realizing my thumb on the stick wasn't fast enough. So I like set my controller down on one of my little kids' tables that I have for my son, and then kind of used like the DualShock as like a joystick. Like I actually kind of like used my fingers, and that actually really, really helped. But then I also sat really close to the TV to kind of get in that zone. And even then this game was like really, really hard. So I had played, I think there's 2 bonus stages, I think, in this one. So I think it's in total 7 stages. I had gotten to stage 5 on normal. And I actually did think how they did the progression. This was really interesting. So in a lot of these sort of arcade games, there's usually an option you turn on infinite continues and you beat the game in like 2 hours.
I was looking for that, and it's not there.
It does not have it. Well, what it does actually is I think it's a really clever system. So what it does, every time you beat a stage, you get an extra continue.
Yep.
So like once you get through stage 1, you now permanently have 2 continues. Once you get through stage 2, you now permanently have 3 continues. So you kind of keep getting farther and farther because they're giving you more continues, and the game is like kind of trying to save those continues as best you can. So I had gotten to the end of level 5 on normal, died, and I was just like,
wait, did you play straight through, like from stage 1 all the way through stage 5?
Yeah.
That's batshit insane. Like, I literally couldn't make it through 2 levels. I played this thing for like an hour and a half, and I could not make it on normal. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No, and I think and I got into those 5 stages, and then I died on the I guess at that point it was like the final boss, and they have 2 bonus levels on top of that. And I think it was like my 12th, or like it was many, many times trying to get through there. And I realized like I literally don't think I can physically do that again. So I dropped it down to easy, and was able to finish the game that way. But even easy, I was like, I don't know exactly what's making this easier. I think they lower the health of enemies like a little bit, but it still felt
I,
just as hard.
I think it might have. I think it might have said that the bullets move slightly slower. Is I think
Okay.
what it might have been. But like again,
Yeah.
I had to go down to very easy. I couldn't tell the difference. Like I'm so bad at these. But
Yeah, I think the thing with this one in particular, the difficulty is difficult one because shmups is just a very difficult genre.
yeah,
They're they're just that. But then this one is intentionally difficult. Yeah, and I think they're fun as a result of that. And it's like everything's a one hit kill. But then this game is also clearly like a largely unchanged from the arcade version, which
yep.
is also trying to get quarters out of you. So this game likes to do a lot of like, oh, you missed that one little ship that comes shooting down the screen to the bottom right and then kind of shoots you in the butt. And it's like in any modern game, they just like wouldn't have that sort of cheesy thing. But if you are making an arcade game, this is like a very well known thing.
Yeah.
Any Time Crisis you'll play, there's always like a weird cheap shot thing that comes like, there's no way I would have known that unless I memorized that it was coming. So it has a lot of that, especially as you're going through the game. That is like you kind of have to brute force your way through it a little bit. And I think that was the aspect that really annoyed me as a result. It's like I can tell this is like munching quarters from me, but that's not the type of gameplay I want anymore.
Yeah. And having just played the Cowabunga collection, you notice that a little bit because they give you the arcade version of Turtles in Time and the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time.
Oh, interesting. Sure.
So you can kind of compare back and forth a little bit with that. And again, like you can very much tell like this is intentionally difficult and definitely trying to get your money, because again, even like in those first couple levels, I only made it through the first few. As soon as you said that ship shooting down, I knew exactly the little bastard you were talking about.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting though, because like they'll have you focusing on a big guy, and then let's say the Magical Girl games, usually you're focused on the big guy, and that's the only enemy on screen, so you're just dodging these really elaborate patterns. But in this one, they have a big guy on screen, and then while you're focused on that one, 2 or 3 more little guys will spawn, so you're good at dodging these big waves of bullets from the big guy. But then there's like these sort of, let's just say, offbeat additional bullets flying at you from smaller characters, from like smaller guys, and that's always the stuff that gets you. And it's just, and the thing is, like, I don't know if this is the game to start with, like if you're interested in the genre. There's definitely like easier ways to get in. I've been looking at any like cave shooters is usually a good one. There's a game called Jamestown, which is like not my favorite one, but it's very easy. It's really, really easy and really friendly of like at least getting into the genre.
Well, and I think that again, someone who enjoys these for very easy modes and if it continues, I think very much I miss that. And again, if I'm playing something like Jamestown, which I played and enjoyed, I flip that infinite continue switch and I'm just having a blast. Like, and I think that's the thing where, again, this isn't a very accessible game.
No,
there is the easy mode is not easy. This game assumes like coming in, like, you know your way around a shmup. You know what to do. You know what to look for. You know where to focus. You know how to dodge. You know that we're looking for patterns. It kind of has that prerequisite phase of like, you need your background knowledge. You need to know what you're getting into when you get in here.
Yeah, and there's like weird stuff with the genre. Like, for example, the bomb system is really, really important. In any other game, when you throw a bomb, it's kind of like this like item that's like that kind of helps clear out the screen. But in how bombs work in shmups is that when you fire a bomb, essentially all the bullets on screen get removed and all of the enemies get removed. So it actually acts as like an extra life. So as soon as you kind of like realize like, oh, a bomb's an extra life, that is just as precious as like the life of my ship, and knowing when to do that. And it was funny, like I knew that going into this and I was still struggling, and like I really had to kind of retrain myself to play in this sort of genre again. And the thing is, like, I don't know if and that's like, did I enjoy it? It's like, kinda. I mean, it's just, because I like these types of games. I think it was just the brutality of this was too much. The one thing I do want to talk about though is, so it's Raiden IV Mikado Remix. So what is Mikado Remix? And I think you had played the PS3 version, and you said
I
for
was
a little bit.
So I was curious because I played, like I said, I played about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of this, somewhere around there. And then I knew that the PS3 version was on there because I thought I had played it before, but I'd actually played 5 because that's also on PS Plus. So I just like clicked it on really quick just to kind of get a comparison between the two.
Yeah. And then I think you were saying that like they were pretty similar.
Fairly similar, yeah. You could definitely tell there were a little bits and pieces here and there, but for the most part, similar.
Pretty similar. And so this game I think is less of a remaster and think of it more as a re-release. there's like a lot of weird loading screen. Like I had the PS5 version. It was interesting. There's like still like a lot of like strange loading screens where like it take like a few seconds. Like I changed my lives. Like now saving. I'm like, why is this taking more than 0 seconds to do whatever? And then when you actually play the game, I don't know if it was in 4K, but I know there's like a lot of 2D art. Like when you first start the game, there's a very specific weapon, and they say, hey, how do you want this weapon to react when you pick it up in the game? And then all of that text is in like, it's because it's an image, and they just pull it from the arcade game, so it's like this very low resolution image. So it's like, it was weird. So I wouldn't even think of it as a remaster. It's just like, hey, if you've never played this game, or you just want to play this game, think of this more. It's just like a re-release. But the Mikado remix. So I had to go do some Googling exactly what Mikado meant in this context. So Mikado is actually a Japanese arcade. It's a very famous Japanese arcade that's known for doing classic games, and for some reason they have some sort of musical aspect to them that I'm not aware of. So what this is, it's basically a remix soundtrack for the game. And I did go back and forth between like, okay, what's the remix soundtrack versus the original one, and the remix soundtrack is actually very good. I was kind of humming. It's like the type of music you can kind of hum along to. I was like, I would say most of the times I don't notice music in games, but probably because I'm playing level 1 20 or 30 times. Maybe that's why I was like, this music's quite good. And I actually swapped it back to the original to see, and it's like, oh no, it's actually like a really marked improvement. So I think like if you are a fan of Raiden and you want to hear the new soundtracks, I think they're actually really, really good. The one thing though where I'm saying this is a re-release and not really a remaster is that, so all the music has been remade and remastered, but the sound effects haven't. So you get these weird mid 2000s crunchy arcade sound effects on top of like remastered great sounding music. So it's like one of the only games where like turned down the sound effects like way, way, way low and just boosted up the music. And it's having a much better time. But I don't want to say it's not like a lazy port or lazy, because it never says remaster anywhere on it. So it's like, but you just assume that's kind of like comes with the territory. Like it's a new game, you re-release it. But so really it's Raiden 4. There's like 2 extra bonus missions. You get the new music, and then that's essentially it. I know that like you also get like 3 ships to choose from, which is really funny. You get like one normal jet fighter ship, you get kind of a beefed up version of that, and then you get a magical fairy girl.
Which I actually like, as every time you kept describing this, is like there's like magical fairy girl, and I'm like, that's literally
there is a magical fairy girl in this, which is actually
she has some weird stuff with that one too.
Yeah, it's actually super fun to play as that character, because the game, there's like a huge delay. Her bullets move really, really slow. So you just kind of like make these like huge sweeping motions to make like just fill the screen with your own bullets. It's actually really fun. I think it's a fun game. It's a hard game. Maybe not just the best standout in the genre, but it's just a good place to start. Maybe. I think if you got this on PS Plus or a Game Pass or something like that, like definitely like take a look. This might be this might be a genre you'd be interested in. But yeah,
I do think this one is for a very specific person though. This is for people who enjoy this. Like this is for people who are like, I want the difficulty. I want it tough. I want it intense. Like I know what I'm getting into with this. Cause again, I think you're missing those accessibility things that I think a lot of these other shmups have, knowing because this is a brutal genre. Like, we'll give you the infinite lives mode so people like me can make their way through it and go, look at me, I finished the game. I'm cool. 49 continues later. I did it. I only used 6 on the final boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.